Healthcare, health access is different. Treatment is different. Earning incomes is different. If you look at the different sort of metrics, it's very much influenced by physical appearance and thinness. So if we try and tell ourselves that we just shouldn't care and we should be body positive and we should just love our bodies in whatever shape we have, then we are not holding the responsibility on these systems. That actually means that it's real stuff here at play. There's real risks. The nuance and paradox gives us room to say, okay, yeah, it's really messed up. I'm still going to love my body, even if I don't get good access to healthcare. I'm still going to love my body and hate the systems that impose this on me. We could go into that in great detail. But all that is to say, when you put your hands on your belly and you hold your hands to your belly, maybe you've already done enough unhooking from that it's a neutral or even enjoyable space. And I truly hope so. Maybe it's really hard. And that's understandable. And maybe, and this is certainly where I live, I've done a lot of work to unhook from it. And every once in a while, something just comes in and gets me again. And I'm like, oh, right. This sometimes is hard for me to put my hands on my changing, aging body, to feel perceived, to not know how I want to be perceived or not feel in control of how I am perceived. All of this can be related to hands on belly. So as you place your hands there, all we can do is make room for it. We can make room for the experience what we're experiencing. We make room for what is, rather than trying to resist it or change it right away. If we don't accept it first, then the change is a reaction and it's a pushing away, a rejection of part of ourself. So instead, we let it be what it is. And you could be like, this person is going on and on about something that does not concern me. I'm bored. And to that, again, I say, that's great. I'm so happy for you. But if that's not true, then it makes sense to need to be a little patient, to meet ourselves with as much compassion as we can muster. And to meet whatever is there with grace, with understanding, with an allowing for whatever is there. Remembering that this part of the body certainly responds well to any kind of romance, this would be a time to just consider that, this is why I think doing these practices with candlelight and, where it's nice and warm and you don't have to worry about, do I have enough time? Am I looking at the clock at all? Is really helpful. But we can get close to that even in just the time that we have by meeting ourselves with a soft and patient touch. So it's not a sexual touch. It's just a soft, gentle holding of the belly. And then the mesentery anchors the body back, belly back. But I find that it's helpful to find it by first sort of letting it drop, especially because with all of that I just shared, a lot of what we've been told to do in workout classes and just like, in regular day-to-day life is to suck the body in, to suck the belly in, hold it tight, clench, knit, grip, all that. And we're going to specifically move away from that. So let the belly be soft and sort of, I'm now leaning forward and letting the belly drop into my hands. If you're standing, you could do that too, but this is why I wanted you to not be lying down for this part, because we need gravity to help us here. So let your belly meet your hands As Bonnie Bainbridge Cohen, one of my primary teachers, always says, like, to really get this, to really be in this, you have to be willing to be softer and rounder than you might want to be. Certainly than how society tells you should be. So you could stay here for a while, and I hope that at some point you give yourself permission to do that, to really stay for a while and let the feeling of the belly dropping into your hands sort of melt the tissues along the back of the body, because there will be this pulling of gravity as the gravity sort of pulls the body down. And even just here for a few moments, maybe you're already starting to notice that change, that there is this pull and release. Then here, with your right hand, find the mesenteric root, as we did just before. So you place your right thumb about 2 fingers up and 3 fingers to the left of your belly button, and then angle your right pinky finger down towards your right hip. That's about the length and angle of your mesenteric root. Remember, it's all the way back behind you, behind the belly. So it's along the front of your spine. So now, gently, like holding a newborn baby, like a fresh newborn that does require a firm but gentle hold, right? You want to hold without crushing, without squeezing. Like a newborn, pull the belly up and in towards the spine, keeping a focus on this mesenteric root here as a sense of an anchoring. So muscles will engage, they will. But the origin of this movement, the deep fundamental support of this movement is the mesentery, this fatty structure, this fatty soft structure pulling up and in so that the belly organs are now anchored and suspended. To be clear, the mesenteric root never stopped anchoring and suspending the belly organs, because that's a primary function, that's a primary role that it holds in the body. But we're encouraging that with our attention, and we're supporting that movement with the abdominal muscles. And that's the difference. The abdominal muscles are not originating the movement, they're supporting that deep internal holding. And you might need to do this a few times, because we find something better if we let ourselves lose it a few times too. So you lean forward and let the belly drop into your hands. And then it's this gentle pull of the mesentery into the body. And what you'll notice, well, what I notice, is that as I lean forward and then pull the mesentery up and in, my body almost just naturally, it just sort of wants to rise up and be vertical. And this is actually a theory among some medical researchers, is that it's the mesentery that allows us to be bipedal. It was a change in the mesentery that allowed us to evolve to walking around, which from a physics perspective, our physiology doesn't make much sense. So the mesentery could be the reason that we're able to do it. So as you do this a few times, releasing the belly into the hands and then pulling up from the mesentery and finding yourself rising upward, most likely, perhaps. Notice that and feel that alignment that comes from a relationship with gravity. I talked about it right at the beginning, that this is not so much a positional sit up straight, hold yourself at attention sort of thing. This is gravity moving through us. And so then, of course, I arrive at this neutral where gravity is able to move down and then back up through me. Of course I do. What else would I do? The next time that you find yourself sitting upright, just settle into that. Let yourself be there. And like I said, if you would rather be standing, if this would feel more invigorating to be standing, then by all means, stand up. But I would encourage you to keep a hand at the belly for now as a reminder to gently hug the body up and in. And then as you inhale, we're going to reach one arm up, but importantly, we're going to reach the arm up as though it's originating in the center of the belly. So it's not just starting with the shoulder and just like sort of this disconnected limb. Imagine the root of your shoulder, of your right arm. Let's do it with the right arm so I can say it. Imagine the root of your right arm all the way back at that mesenteric root at the back of the body. And then as you inhale, the arm is going to grow up from this mesenteric root. The arm reaches up. And then when you have the arm up overhead, take a few breaths here so you can feel how this root at the mesentery that goes all the way up through the fingers, it allows for the arm to reach up in a way that feels alive and growing and not just positional. As you exhale, you can settle it back down. Now, because I said that a way to find something different is sometimes to lose it, and it's a good sort of counterbalance, just lift your arm up and notice how that feels. To me, it feels really uninteresting. Like I'm doing it, and even I might make it interesting by stretching, doing any number of things to feel a sensation. But just reaching my arm up and down, my brain, my mind is not as engaged. My body is not as engaged. Now, do it with me. Left hand is going to just be that gentle reminder to the belly to lift up and in from the mesentery. The shoulder is actually rooted down there. This is all imagining to a degree, and also due to fascial lines, it's not entirely imagination. There's support for this inquiry. That's what I want to say. So the root of the shoulder, the root of the arm, is actually down there right at the core, right at the navel core. And then as you inhale from that place, the right arm lifts up. Now, it might be slower because we're focusing, and that can certainly change things. But with practice, you can do this just as fast. You just might not want to because there's more to be felt. Why go fast when there's so much to feel? And I would encourage you to do that on the other side too. So right hand can then hold the belly up and in, and then mesenteric root is the origin of the left arm. It doesn't just start at the shoulder. This isn't an isolated limb that we move loosey-goosey. This is this lifting, reaching up. And you do that a few times. And notice you don't have to be limited to just one kind of movement. Every single kind of movement can be rooted here, can originate here from core, from belly. But for the purposes of what we're exploring also, are you able to notice the quality of your presence and the quality of your mind as your body moves in this way? Because we're moving in a way that acknowledges and even celebrates and accentuates our wholeness, not just an isolated series of parts. If my arm is rooted into the core of me, I am already unhooking from a story that, however subtly, has been told to me that I'm just a series of parts. I got 2 arms, 2 legs, and a middle, right? It doesn't stop being true. I do have 2 arms and 2 legs, but my experience can be of a full body moving, so that as I reach my arms up, I feel it deep in my belly. I feel it down into that deep core origin of me. And that is extends through the movement. Now, you might find that continuing to move feels good. Or you might find that you want to sit and feel the resonance of these movements, because there will be it's like ringing a bell. It resonates through the cells, through the tissues, through the organs, through the organ systems. This kind of movement resonates through the organism as a whole, you as a whole. So whether moving or still, feel for the resonance that moving in this way brings, what it gives, the tone of the body.